This is the tricky part of the installation. Now, this is why you guys are watching videos through me and not just watching free videos on YouTube all the time. We're ridiculously thorough. I'm trying to show you guys some tough stuff, some tough situations here. This is the power outlet. I'm going to go ahead and unplug everything from there. They have their satellite box plugged in still. I'll go ahead and unplug that. Alright. So, this is all the wiring that's sticking out of the wall. This used to be a cable jack. This used to be where their cable for their regular household stuff came in right here. We came in here a long time ago and we ran a bunch of wire for them. And this is where we ran all the wire, just using that same cable jack. Well, it just so happens that we're going to try to use the same thing here. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure power's turned off. I've already done that. Just going to show you guys I'm not cheating. Here's my electrical tester. Lights are not on. Don't do this hot. You guys, you're nobody's hero, okay? Don't do this hot. Go get up and go shut the stinking thing off. I hate seeing people do stuff hot. Okay, so I'm going to back this sucker out. I'm going to take this outlet off. Remember, the circuit's dead. Right there. Okay, now I have this off. I'm going to go ahead and back up to our regular full view so you can see why this is going to be a pretty tricky installation. Here we are. This is why this electrical outlet installation is going to be tough. If you can see, this blue line right here, this represents the right side of the TV. That electrical outlet is about here at the bottom of the wall. So if I were to come directly above that electrical outlet and install another one right here, that's a piece of cake. Dude, that's so easy to do. And I'm sure there's 1,000 videos online where you can find out how to do that. But we're doing something hard here. This is a tricky installation. So I have two choices. I can take this TV bracket and I can slide it over so that I can cover up that electrical outlet, so I can just bring it straight up the wall and then shift the TV over and cover that up. But that's not where I want it. I already had to cheat this TV over this way just to make it so that it didn't cover the bathroom door. I don't want to start pulling the TV more and more and more over here. That's not where the customer wants it to do. We're going to try to do a professional installation here. We want to show why we're doing it and not some hack job company. This is where you guys are really going to get the value for your money, right? If you guys were to hire some Joe Schmo company, I guarantee you they would take the easy route and they would have just mounted the TV directly above the outlet, said, sorry, it's going to be too hard of an installation. You guys are just going to have to deal with whatever we can give you. Okay? That's why you guys are doing it yourselves. You want to put it where you want to put it. That's where the TV goes. That means it's a little bit of extra work, but we're going to end up with the product that we want right at the end. So I'm going to show you guys some tricks. And maybe at home you guys just decide, you know what, I'll take the easy route and shift it over. If you're okay with that, go for it. That's fantastic. I'm going to show you guys something harder. I'm going to show you guys how to jump the electrical outlet over a couple studs and then bring it up the wall. It's a lot harder installation, but it's going to end up putting the TV right where we want it. So our outlet is outside of the wall. So what I can do now is I can take my tweaker, and this box, the outlet box, is attached to a stud. That's how they install them during construction, is they take these boxes and they nail them to a stud. So I don't know if this stud is mounted to the left of the box or the right of the box. So I take my tweaker screwdriver, and remember this circuit's dead, and I poke to the right. I can put my screwdriver to the right, I know it's not there. And then it's check the left, and I can feel the stud is right there. So what I gotta do now is I gotta take this box off. To do that first, I'm going to cut these wires out. Bam! Bam! They have these like quick stab-ins on these plugs. Most of you guys are probably going to have the wires stabbed in. I hate that. Those things wear off and then you start having intermittent electrical problems. Don't use those. If you get a chance, pull the outlet out. These things are like $1 or $2. Replace it. It's nonsense. Lame. That's the cheap contractor way to do it. Okay, so now that I have this out, I got to get this wiring kind of untangled. And then we're going to pop this box off. I wish I can get a better shot at the front of the box here so you could see what I'm doing, but there's a lot of furniture in this room. So we couldn't find a better place to put the camera. Okay, I've got the wire all untwisted. Now it's ready to pop out. To pop it out, I'm going to take a screwdriver, a chisel, or something like that, and I'm going to shove it in between the box and the stud. And then I'm going to pry away from the stud. You're going to be tempted to pry towards the stud. Don't do that because you'll damage the wall. And then when you go and put your outlet back in and put your faceplate back on, you'll see that damage. So I'm going to slip it in there and push. Oh my goodness, I broke it. Good thing we're going to replace it, huh? You got to give it a little oomph. Okay, don't be afraid to push. Put a little muscle into it. Remember, I'm never pushing towards the stud. I'm always pushing away from the stud. You can stick some dikes in there. These are my dikes. Stick some dikes in there and you can help out a little bit. Alright. So now I know you can't see, but I've got the box knocked off the stud. Now, there's no secret. Just wiggle the wires out until you get the wires out of the box. You don't have to get the box out of the wall. Shh, don't tell anybody. You can actually just let the box fall to the floor. Nobody will ever know. Whatever you do, don't cut the wires. You don't want to cut the wires. They're already going to be pretty short. So, just take your time. It's not super comfortable. And get the wires out. Okay, there we go. My wires are out. This shiny one, that's the ground wire. Most of you guys are probably going to have one long ground wire and one short one. Yeah, kind of a pain, but we'll deal with it. My wires are out of the wall. At this point, it'd be really super easy. At this point, it'd be really super easy to grab a glow rod, and I can shove this right up the wall. And you can see this wall's empty. It's just an empty space from here all the way up. It's just empty space. So if you guys decided to take the easy route and just move the mount over and adjust the TV, no problem. You can just run the sucker up here and you'll put the outlet right up above. But we're going to take the hard road. I know that there's a stud right here because I can see it. And I know there's a stud right here because that's the one that was attached to my electrical outlet. So this is going to be kind of hard, but I got to go through that stud and I got to go through that stud. So I'm going to take my drill. And I don't want to drill towards the front of this stud because at some point I need to put a box and a cover on here to house these wires. I'm sorry, not going to use a box. We're going to use something called a mud ring, which we'll show later on. So I'm going to go kind of towards the back a little bit and drill a hole. Okay. There's one hole through one stud. Oh, the size drill bit you can use, I'm using a big one here. You guys can use something smaller. You can use 1/2 inch. You can use 3/4, 5/8. Don't go less than 1/2 inch though. Okay. And I'm holding the wires out of the way here. Uh-oh, I need to move this cabinet. Woo! There we go. Don't want to lose the TV. So I drilled through this stud. Remember there's a stud here. I'm going to drill through that stud. Now this one, there's going to be an electrical box that goes there. If I drill close to the front, I'll never get my electrical box in there. So this one, I kind of have to drill towards the back. So I'm going to give myself a little more length and drill towards the back of this stud. I'm going to go down a little bit too, so hopefully I can get down and towards the back. Oh, I need an extension. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab an extension for my drill tip. So I grabbed my extension. While I was out, I decided to grab a little bit smaller bit. This one's a wood type paddle bit. This is an auger style. I thought it might help me grip a little bit because it has a screw head. Let's see how this one works. Beautiful. Now you don't want to go too far back towards the back of the stud. You got to be real careful because the last thing in the world we want to do is drill through the other side of the wall. So if you do go further back towards the back of the stud, make sure your angle's correct, that you're not going to drill through the wall. So I look to be in pretty good shape right here. I have a hole through that stud, I have a hole through this stud. Now it's time for me to start grabbing some fishing tools. Alright, so what I decided to use for fishing tools is going to be just a piece of standard wire and what I call a ball chain. This is a pretty essential tool for most tricky installations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stuff this into the hole. I mean, all it is just a bunch of metal balls linked loosely together. It's kind of floppy. I'm going to go ahead and drop this inside the hole on the left. Then I'm going to take a magnet attached to this piece of wire and stick it through the hole on the right and see if I can get it to link up. Here we go. There we go. Okay, I stuffed in about 6 inches to a foot. Now I'm going to take this, I have a little magnet here, I'm going to tape it to the end of my wire. And hopefully make the connection happen. Now I know that a lot of you guys aren't going to have, a setup similar to this at home, but this is the point of every custom installation. Every custom installation has a solution. At home, we need to get the outlet over here and up the wall. At home, you guys might not have this. You guys might not have the ability to do this. Yours might be harder, yours might be easier, but the point is every house has a solution, and this happens to be ours. This is not an easy installation at this point because of what we run into, but every home has an obstacle and every home has a solution. So even though I can't get the exact solution to your home, email us. Email us, and if it's common enough, we get enough requests, we'll look into it. Here we go. So I just stuffed in a bunch of that ball chain into the left hole. A wire with a little bending and a little manipulating with a magnet on the end. And I got the ball chain through. So we just finished running this ball chain through the wall. We went through one stud here and one stud here. We kind of had this freebie hole here, luckily. But we're not out of the woods yet. I'd like to say that electrical outlet behind the TV is going to be right above this, but it's not. That electrical outlet above the TV, or behind the TV, is right above this mark right here. So I have to go from here to here. Sounds easy, right? Stud finder. So we're going to start right here. Bam, that's the stud that we went through right next to the electrical outlet, the original one. That's the one we went through right here. Okay, let's keep checking. We got one right here. That one's not a surprise because I can feel that one with my hand. Just to make sure that we're out of the woods. Boom-Shaka-Laka. Look at that. You guys are getting a bonus here. This is a really tough installation. We've got to get through 2 more studs before we get to our outlet. So a lot of you guys are still going to throw in the towel, but we want to do this the right way, right? This is where we really show how we can do things. And don't be scared. I mean, the worst that's going to happen, well, we never know the worst that's going to happen. I can't say that. But most likely the worst that's going to happen is pop a hole through the drywall on the other side. I think we're going to be okay. So let's show you how to get through both of these studs. This stud right here, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to try to get through this stud down here at the bottom of the wall. I'm going to get through this stud up there at the top of the wall, but I'm going to get through this stud right here at the bottom of the wall. Once again, I'm going to take my drill with a drill bit. This is that 5/8 auger tip, and I'm using a 6-inch extension. Holding my wires out of the way, I'm going to drill through this stud, going through this hole. Now, if I'm at a funky angle and I'm angled too far that way, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be able to get, I should be able to get a pretty good angle on it where I don't have the risk of popping out on the other side. So, here we go. Yeah, I should be okay here. Boom! All right, we're not out of the woods yet. This is still going to be a pretty complicated installation, but at least we're partway there. So now I've got a hole through this stud. We're going to go up through the top of the wall and put a hole through this stud. But while we're down here, before we go up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run this wire at least through here because I'm going to need this ball chain again. I'm going to need this ball chain in order to get through the next section. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that ball chain out. To do that, I'm just going to use a skinny piece of wire. Now you don't really want to use ball chain to pull heavy wire because ball chain has like no pulling force. You'll snap it in a heartbeat. Trust me, I know. So, just going to use a little electrical tape with my wire, skinny wire, and I'm going to gently pull that dog through. Bam! Okay, untape it. There we go. Now I have pull string in the wall, and I've got my ball chain back. We have the hole through here. We need to go to the top. We need to cut in the box for the new electrical outlet behind the TV, and we need to get through this stud, bring the wire down. I'm glad we get a good challenging installation here. This is, I'm sure that you're going to be able to pick up something off of this and apply it to your own installation. Hopefully you don't have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 studs and up to get to your box. Hopefully the worst case scenario you're dealing with is 1 stud. So we're showing you some pretty nasty stuff here. Hopefully you can make this apply to your installation too. Make sure you follow the same sequence that we've done here. The sequence and what we've done, not skipping any steps, is super important. Because if you were to skip steps, then you end up with holes in your wall that you can't cover, and it ends up being like a whole nightmare. So I haven't done anything to this part of the wall except for mount the bracket here. Now I need to cut the hole for my electrical outlet. Well, after we did all the work at the bottom of the wall there, I know that my electrical outlet can make it to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my handy dandy little template and I'm going to cut in, I'm going to cut in my electrical outlet right up against the stud. Okay? So I know that the center of the stud is these bolts right here. So the side of the stud is there. Remember that the bottom of the TV is going to be 11 inches below this. So I don't want my box to be too close to the bottom of the TV, and I don't want it to be too close to the mount that I can't get faceplates on. So I'm just going to come down about ½ inch, go right up against the side of the stud, level my template. I'm going to draw it. Then I'm going to use my drywall saw, and I'm going to cut it out while I'm vacuuming. Okay? It's really important that you use a drywall saw. A lot of you guys are going to be excited and try to put a power tool in there. As you can see, I got wires in there. Who knows what I have in there? I'm lucky that I can see what's inside the wall. But sometimes you might be going in blind. There might be some, who knows, air conditioning duct, electrical cable, or pipes. Gosh, there's a lot of things that can happen in here. It can get real nasty. Always use a hand-powered saw. Okay, here we go. There we go. As you can see, I've cut my box right up against the stud. And the reason that I've done that is because now I've got to drill through this stud to get down to my electrical outlet, which I'll go ahead and do for you guys right now. I'm going to go back to my same drill bit. I think this is a 5/8. Once again, I'm not going to drill in the center of the stud because I got to get a box in there. Make sure all my wires, any type of wiring or anything is tucked out of the way. I can drill down towards the center. Oh, you know what? I don't think I did a very good job explaining what's going on here. What's going on is I have a stud here, and then this is one that I just drilled through just now. Earlier, when I was down at the bottom of the wall, you guys saw me drill through a stud here and a stud here. So we're actually crossing 3 studs. Not standardly separated, but you know, who framed this house? We had no idea. They just decided to throw studs in here. Maybe there's some kind of reason. I don't know. Doesn't matter at this point. All that matters is I got to get through these studs. Getting down this wall is still going to be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to go ahead and use, we're going to go back and use our ball chain. And I needed like a flexible, I need something that's kind of like long and flexible, more flexible than a glow rod. Now a fish tape would work really well here too. But a lot of you guys, I don't want you guys to have to go out and buy 50,000 different tools. So I'm going to try to show you how to do this. If we can use a tool that you might, or a piece of material that you might have on hand, we'll go ahead and do that. So I've got the ball chain here, and I went ahead and I taped it to just a piece of Romex, just that piece of electrical cable. I'm going to go ahead and stuff that down the hole. What I want is I want that ball chain to fall down to the bottom of the wall and kind of bunch up. That way, when I take my wire with my magnet taped to the end, I have a lot more ball chain I can work with. So this is still going to be kind of tricky. So let's see if we can get lucky again. There's no luck. This is skill. Years of proper training and diet. I'm going to go through that hole I drilled just a second ago. There we go. I'm definitely hitting something. I can hear it. I can hear it popping around. So I'm in the right neighborhood. So now it's kind of like a little game of cat and mouse. You just kind of got to wiggle it around, and there's no real secret I can tell you except be patient. You'll get it. When you can feel them touching each other, like I can feel my wire touching this, I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm close. So then at that point, it's just a matter of just finishing it. You might have to change your plan a little bit, maybe put a little more bend on there. Just got to play with it for a little bit. Certainly sounds like I'm touching it. Bingo. There we go. Victory. You want to know what victory looks like? Victory looks like a ball chain sticking out of a hole after you go through a couple studs. That's what victory looks like. Let me see if I can find my tape. I'm going to go ahead, pull a little more slack on this small wire. Now I'm going to tape this small wire to the ball chain and pull the wire up to the top. And that wire is going to serve as my pull string as I pull the Romex through. Okay, here we go. Gentle, remember gentle. Bam! That's money. You know what that smells? It smells like money. It's really weird. It's kind of weird how that smells like money. This installation is going to be just the way that we want it, right? We didn't cut any corners. We didn't shift the TV over to compensate for something that might be difficult. We sucked it up. We went ahead and did the difficult installation and pulled it off. We put in no extra holes in the wall. This installation, if you were to pay a pro, would be no less than $200. There's not a chance. A standard outlet installation, moving or adding one outlet, will cost you 75 bucks to most people. That's just taking an outlet and going straight up the wall. We went over 4 studs and then up a wall. Dude, that's a really hard installation. No wall damage, perfect. I know that here we kind of had to make it up as we go, and that's what every installation is going to be like. Every installation is going to be make it up as you go. There's no installation that's cut and dry, all the pieces fit, everything just falls into place. Very rare. And if you have one of those installations, there's no reason to watch my videos, because my videos are for the guys that are taking it kind of to the next level. Okay, now that I have my wire in place, I'm going to go ahead and attach my Romex, and we're going to pull it through. And this installation is all but done. It's still going to be a little bit of work left, but we've done the hard part. When you tape it nice and tight, nice and secure. Tape down that any little nub sticking out at the end, because that'll catch in the wall. And then when you're all done, fold over the tape so it makes a little flag. So when you take it off, it's easy.